today's headlines. Party chief highlights private sector as a key driver. And Vietnam's banking sector improves capital access for private businesses. Good evening. You're watching today's headlines, where we bring you the top stories of the day. Party General Secretary To Lâm met with the Central Policy and Strategy Committee to discuss the private sector's future. While the private sector contributes over 50% to GDP, it faces the challenges of limited scale, poor competitiveness, and short-term profit focus. The party chief emphasized that the private sector economy is essential for growth and urged reforms to improve the legal environment, streamline regulations, and encourage enterprise connections. He called for a clear strategy to support private sector development, aligned with current economic and geopolitical shifts. He also stressed the importance of ensuring equal access to capital and resources for private enterprises, and also increasing their role in key national projects. The Politburo will shortly issue a resolution to support private economic development. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính led an online conference to discuss the prompt implementation of laws passed at the 9th Extraordinary Session of the National Assembly. These policies are designed to tackle practical challenges and eliminate institutional barriers. The Prime Minister stressed the need for rapid implementation, directing Deputy Prime Ministers and Ministers to finalize necessary decrees by March or April. He also encouraged gathering feedback to revisit policies and called for stronger agency coordination. The government will allocate nearly $400 million to support the execution of Resolution 57 on science, technology, and digital transformation. The State Bank of Vietnam has set a target of over 8% economic growth this year and will inject nearly $100 billion into the economy. However, ensuring sufficient capital for high growth remains challenging, particularly as medium and long-term capital channels like securities and bonds fell short of expectations. Commercial banks, which account for half of the total capital supply, are streamlining credit issuance processes while maintaining security.
This company specializes in fire-resistant wooden doors for commercial apartments. The $1.5 million loan it has secured barely sustained its production, as its orders have surged by nearly 50% this year.
We have signed contracts for some large projects, with over 9,000 doors to be supplied. Our capital needs are urgent, and we hope to access low-cost financing with streamlined procedures.
In response, some banks have rolled out targeted credit packages. One institution has launched a $587 million loan program for private businesses and small and medium-sized enterprises.
We have optimized internal processes, cutting approval steps by 30% and enhancing appraisal teams at headquarters. Additionally, we are leveraging digital platforms to improve access to funding.
Many banks are now developing ecosystem lending models centered around key customers. This approach allows private enterprises to access unsecured loans if they meet specific requirements.
For businesses with proven capabilities, we connect them with supply chains, creating more growth opportunities. Those integrated into our ecosystem also benefit from reduced fees and lower interest rates.
As of 2024, total economic credit is projected to reach 136% of GDP, with SME lending accounting for 19%. Enhancing support funds and credit guarantee programs at ministerial and local levels is essential to increase this share further.
The State Bank recently requested commercial banks to provide credit capital for rice production, processing, purchase, temporary storage, and export in the Mekong Delta region. And this move aims to stabilize the rice supply and demand balance and promptly meet production needs for the region's winter-spring crop. Banks are urged to consider increasing the appropriate loan limit and term for businesses and expanding medium and long-term credit to support investment in equipment and production facilities. Coming up next, at least 30% of administrative procedures to be removed. And traditional cultural identity to be expressed through cinema. Now, moving on to other news, Party General Secretary To Lam has recently requested that at least 30% of processing and administrative procedure costs to be cut and unnecessary business conditions removed. Due to the protracted land valuation stage, many social housing projects are still pending in Ho Chi Minh City. Many local enterprises urge priority policies to simplify administrative procedures, attract investment, and ultimately build a synchronized ecosystem to meet the diverse needs of visitors. As such, the city is planning to form an administrative center comprising diverse department representatives to speed up administrative works for businesses. A Vietnamese interagency delegation attended a session at the UN headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland on Thursday to present reports on the implementation of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Vietnam has established comprehensive support policies to ensure people with disabilities can exercise equal rights in political, economic, cultural, and social spheres. As a result, more than 1.6 million people with severe disabilities now receive monthly social benefits. The country has also launched several initiatives to develop and implement the Regional Action Plan on Human Rights. With 56,000 Vietnamese students in South Korea, many seek jobs there on graduating. Events like Job Fair 2025 connect students with top employers such as LG Display and Nongshim. And while networks and recruitment apps are helpful, recruitment events are most effective for securing jobs. A 2024 survey showed that 62.2% of South Korean companies prioritize international students. However, only 6% of overseas students obtain jobs through work visas. And better connection channels will help students access opportunities and improve Vietnam's global competitiveness. Last week, the Vietnamese box office continued to generate excitement. The highlight of the Vietnamese films being shown is The Ancestor's House, and this film has surpassed the $7.84 million mark in revenue. These impressive numbers show the appeal of Vietnamese films to audiences. But what is more worth mentioning is that many films have become a bridge for young people to understand and appreciate traditional values, thereby preserving and promoting Vietnamese culture in a modern context.
Vietnamese folklore, with its many mysterious and multi-layered stories, always inspire filmmakers. Most recently, the classic tale The Story of the Woman in Nam Sương inspired the film The Soul Lantern.
We incorporated many spiritual elements from folklore into the film. I have loved mysterious stories since I was a child. So when I made this film, I felt it was very suitable for me.
Costumes are a particularly important element of cultural expression in many film projects. Some films not only accurately create the style of period costume, but also pay attention to details such as how they are worn, the materials, and the color to be as historically accurate as possible.
During the costume design process, we constantly consulted with historical researchers to ensure there were no mistakes.
Recently, the film Nhà Gia Tiên depicted the culture of the Southwest region, paying attention to creating the setting of century-old ancient house to tell the story of the connection between the young people and their families in modern society.
I know many young people who do not know the meaning of many traditional cultural features. They do not even know where the ancestral altar is located in the house. That is why I wanted to make this film to spread those traditional cultural values.
Such film not only affirm the development of modern Vietnamese cinema, but also contribute to preserving traditional cultural values and continue to explore film potential for success when associated with national cultural identity.
And as usual, let's move on to the weather forecast. And that is all for today's headlines. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTV Go or check out our YouTube channel VTV for Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.